start to see what makes me uniquely beautiful. What has life shown me that sometimes brought me down? Maybe I thought it was traumatic or difficult, but in the end, I learned from it and it uniquely fortified and strengthened me. I think we often look at weaknesses and how can I get better and what are some of the things that I did wrong, but we don't focus as much as on what did I do right.
Mental health champions, we're starting this show laughing because I made the mistake of having an awesome time before the show and we didn't click record. So everyone out there, we're having fun. We're already warmed up. We're bringing on Dr. Sam Zand. We call him the compassionate psychiatrist. He's an educator, entrepreneur who has dedicated himself to evolving the future of mental health care. He's Johns Hopkins-trained and rooted in community service. Taught at multiple medical schools, over 100 clinicians nationwide. And Sam, he's got his own practice. Thank you for joining me here on our second take.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All
And
right.
it's been a fun morning so far. I'm sure we'll have a great conversation.
It lightens the mood, everyone. Mistakes happen, accidents happen. Using that as I approach 1,000 of these shows, you can have a lot of fun behind the scenes, and that means we're going to have a value-filled show. But what we were talking about before I dropped the ball was that he is a traveler, and I know traveling can bring a lot of mental health challenges to many people around the world. Do you have any tips for us to stay a little calmer on these travels?
We're in 30 states. I'm licensed all over the country, so I fly a lot. And I would say the one thing that I always take with me is this right here. It's my eye mask. As soon as you get on the plane, for me, I don't like being on planes. I don't like being around a bunch of people. I like to just put my eye mask on, meditate, and create some time for myself to check in, to anchor myself to what's important, reprioritize what's going on in my life. And so that's been a great strategy for me is just put on a breath work app and just unwind, and really allow that time to really just be with myself, airplane mode.
I absolutely love that as I'm on airplane mode for this recording. Everyone, welcome back to A Mental Health Break. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in and keep this show a top 5% global show from Listen Notes. We're brought to you by Coming Alive Production.com, and be sure to check out your copy of TBI Recovery, the roadmap for coming alive after a brain injury, on Amazon now. And today, as I mentioned, we brought Sam here. He just teased that he's got licenses in 30 states. So congratulations to the amazing difference you're making. When did you know, or what led you to this field of mental health?
Yeah, I grew up in a family. My mom was a psychologist. My dad was an engineer, and so engineering the mind kind of naturally came to me. Both my older sisters are doctors, and
Wow.
as a young 20-something-year-old trying to figure out your life, for me, medical school and being a doctor wasn't really it. I just wanted to get to know people, hang out, socialize. And so Las Vegas was a draw for me. I went to medical school in Las Vegas. And they say if you can heal Vegas, you can heal the world. It really is a place that has a lot of complex personality and different reasons that people come to town. So being here, dealing with addiction, dealing with all kinds of swings from, we say this is the bipolar capital of the world. People come here and they're on a manic high and then they become depressed, they lose their money. There's a lot here that has really taught us, I don't even think from a medical standpoint, just from a human experience standpoint. So the more that I got trained out here, the more I realized mental health is something that affects all of us. It's not just one of us is conflicted or, has come down with something. It's a journey that we all go through. And to impact somebody and improve their mental health, you're actually improving 5 to 10 people around them, their life, their quality of care, because it's not something that, if you have a broken leg, yeah, someone might need to help you. But if you have a broken spirit, it brings everyone else down. And it's something that is sometimes noticeable, sometimes not. We want to bring all of this to the light, help everyone realize that no one's sick, no one's diseased. We're all just trying to be the best version of ourselves. We needed a lot of, I think, just improvement in the way that we approached mental health. And so our goal has really been to evolve the standard of care, bring empathy and compassion to the field, take out the cold clinical nature, take out the stigma and the dogma of there's something wrong with you. So that's been our journey and what keeps me going.
I love how you said there where there's nothing wrong with you, right? We're all in this together. Mental health does not discriminate on wealth or job or race or gender, right? Everyone can be affected from a magnitude of different areas. And I know that you specialize in a few areas. And one way you can give us some value here, which may relate to a lot of people tuning in today, is why do so many high functioning people feel anxious, empty, or disconnected, even when life looks successful with the air quotes here on paper?
Yeah, yeah, you look at some of the people who are financially doing very well, they're advanced in their career. On paper, you see they have a great family, great friends, great social life. But at the end of the day, it's some of these same people who go home and are depressed, are anxious, can't sleep, wonder why they even keep living. They feel hopeless. And I think it's just prioritization of what we value in our lives. Sometimes we might have everything around us that we need, but we're chasing something bigger. There's this grind culture, this hustle personality that has become American in many ways, right? It's this capitalistic push to try to always do better and be better, but to not have gratitude for where we are, we'll never be happy with anything that we have. And I think we've developed this comparison culture that we always need more. I think if we can just go back to minimalism and realize that whatever we have is great, however hard we work, if we're of service and helping others, that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, are we nourishing our soul? Are we giving ourselves what we need? Are we giving back to the world in a meaningful way? And those are the things that I think we haven't prioritized. It hasn't been as cool to show off on social media how much you're giving back to others. Instead, it's cool to show how much you're giving to yourself and the new car that you just got. And so I think we've lost a little bit of prioritization of what's important. And that for many of us has just led to these kind of patterns of anxiety, depression that we then need to uproot and figure out why have we gotten here.
And I love what you said there. And something I learned is that in many cases, if there's a picture perfect life out there, chances are there's some holes somewhere along the lines, or it really isn't as perfect as it may look. Go out there, live for yourself. Don't compare to everyone. I mean, after my accident, I get hit by the car at 21 years old. All my friends are now getting jobs and starting to make real money behind that curve, right? Comparing, they're much further along. A lot of friends, they'll get a family member's house or their house passed on. You don't have a house yet. So what, right? You don't have the car that your friend has, right? So what? Are you happy? To me, success has always looked a little bit differently where it wasn't equated to money, right? When I had that corner office and that job title I chased for so long and I got it, and I realized I was as unfulfilled as I've ever been. So I decided to intentionally go broke for a bunch of years to help start build this dream. And I know, like me, you're very passionate about what you do. And now you're just continuing to give back. And I love how you said, if you can heal Vegas, right, you can heal anything. How do you balance profit, purpose, and patient care without compromising integrity here, Sam?
This is so important because I think in any business, the number one goal is to create a product or service that's of value and receive high value for that, right? And make a profit. The difference in a medical business is that isn't the number one goal, frankly. I have a lot of friends and young colleagues who ask me, should we get into medicine and what's the best, most lucrative field and this and that. And the answer is if you want to make money, don't go into medicine because there's so much more easy ways to make money. If you want to make an impact, if you want to make change, go into medicine because what we have to prioritize, number one, is patient care. And when you look at corporate practice of medicine, when you look at these giant corporations, sometimes it's sad to see that they're prioritizing their shareholder. They're not prioritizing, the outcome of the patient. And I think once we've set up an entire practice where we said every decision, every difficult decision is predicated on what's best for the patient, if that has become now our template and our just standard, then we can focus on making money, making a profit because we know we're not sacrificing care. We have a credo at our practice and it's patients come first, the team comes second, and the business comes last. And if we're doing everything right by our patients and our team, then we're going to do well with the business. But if we skip the patient, skip the team, the business may do well temporarily, but it won't last. So at the end of the day, people vote with their dollars. And if they're not coming to you, then there's something that we have to probably look and reconfigure within the company structure.
I absolutely love how you're highlighting the patient voice and the patient experience. I'm going to shout out and I'm going to connect you in an email after the show. Amber, host of the Voices of Experience PFAC podcast, one of our Coming Alive podcast production clients. She, like you, they always try to keep the patient voice, the patient story in mind, because that's going to improve the whole process, in turn. And like you said, your people, your employees, and then your business, but it all flows together seamlessly. While we were talking about kind of pushing ourselves, always wanting more and more of this hustle society. How do you distinguish, Sam, between healthy ambition and trauma driven overachievement?
Yeah, I think a lot of people who push themselves really hard forget why. And I think the why is so important. When you think about the concept of the golden circle, right? There's the superficial layer on the outside of what do you do? For me, we practice mental health. The next deeper layer is how do you do it? Well, we do it with compassion. We do it with a heart centered approach. We do it with a patient first approach. But the key concept there is why do you do it? Anything that you do, whether it's for a living, for a hobby. And for me, the why keeps me going. So that ambition is fueled by something that really I know I'm aligned with. Whereas sometimes our why might get away from us. The why might be, I need to get that new car, I need to get that new house. And once you get that, then your why is gone. Right? What else are we doing it for? And so I think the difference between ambition and trying to overcome some sense of insecurity, some sense of void, some sense of worthiness, that can have similar outcomes. It can push somebody. I've seen a lot of people pushed very hard for reasons that might have been rooted in trauma. But at the end of the day, their happiness is really predicated on are they doing this for the right reason? And I think that's such an important workshop to go through. What are we doing? How are we doing it? And at the core reason, why are we doing it?
And I absolutely love that. And if we find our why, man, it's one of my favorite books, Start With Why, Simon Sinek. It's very cliche now, right? Your why, but it's not your why of what you and your friends like or what someone else like. It's your why, right? What can you wake up and do every single day and not get sick of it? Look at our guest of honor today. He's building his dream now, 30 states. I'm sure we'll bring him back on the show next year. He'll be up there towards 40. And I'm very proud to have connected with him because, like, and many entrepreneurs, there's a lot of struggle, right? And why do you think, Sam, so many of us struggle with anxiety, sleep issues, or identity confusion?
Yeah, I think we've lost balance a little bit. When you look at different societies, Western societies, just, sleep is the enemy, right? Keep working hard. You want to just constantly grind. When you look at other cultures, check out Spain. They have a siesta in the middle of the day. We would laugh at that, an hour or two off in the middle of the day in prime time when you can make more impact, more change, more money. You look at Eastern culture and they really prioritize their health, their wellness more so than we do. And I think that as an entrepreneur, I know how hard it is, how much it takes to put in, to really put in those blood, sweat, and tears. But you can't sacrifice your sleep. You can't sacrifice your nutrition. You can't sacrifice your relationships. These are the things that make us who we are, that give us a sense of wholeness. And so I think entrepreneurs often think we've got to sacrifice it all. My family will be there in a year or two after I'm successful. My friends will still be there. My sleep, I'll catch up. Oh, I'm a little out of shape right now. That's okay. Let's get to the goal first and then we'll get healthy. And I think that's backwards. You got to be healthy first to get to your goals.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't have said it better. And it's in the go. We keep talking about society. It's easy to forgo certain things. But for me, one of the many sacrifices that I prioritize in entrepreneurship has always been sleep. I'm a grandpa, right? I'm powered down of electronics by 7 p.m., maybe 28 out of 31 days a month, right? We've got my monthly mastermind call, maybe a West Coast call or something. But that's something I'm very hard on myself for because if I don't get good sleep the night before, my whole day is thrown off. And recovering from a TBI, I'm very regimented and structured. I time block before bed every single night. That's just something that works for me to lower my stress, my anxiety. If you're tuning in today and you've never tried time blocking, I certainly recommend it because when you give yourself a time audit, you realize just how much time you're wasting each and every day. And of course, with that, you can insert breaks in your day, something I'm big on, taking walks. Those are just some things that I do for my mental health. Sam, what are some things that you do to take care of your mental health on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think we all needs to just keep practicing meditation. It's one of those things that if you haven't heard about it, it sounds woo woo. If you get into it, it sounds distant and difficult. But if you practice it, it sounds like a staple that you just never want to get away from. And it's just decluttering the mind. It's being present. It's taking a moment to connect with your breath, to ground with the body, to get out of the over analytical mind and just to be present. And it's such an important thing. I think morning routines and nighttime routines can really bookend our day, especially someone who's very busy. You wake up, what's the first 5 to 10, 15 minutes of your day like? Can we connect with the body before we connect with the phone? Can we find our breath and anchor ourselves before we go to bed? Let's reflect on the day. What are some of the things that went well that I'm grateful for? What are some of the things that I learned from today? And what are some of the things I'm looking forward to tomorrow? These patterns, I think, are so important. Sometimes they seem trivial and simple, but when you stack them every single day, meditation, morning routine, nighttime routine are so important. And I like to be transparent because sometimes we think, oh, you only have to go to a psychiatrist if there's something absolutely wrong, if you've, had a breakdown. But I get care as well. I go to therapy and I do something that a lot of people may not really understand completely. It's ketamine therapy. Not only do I practice it as a provider, but I am a patient of this work as well. And I think once or twice a week, having a medication enhanced meditation can be very profound. And that's one of my staples as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Everyone, remember what works for some doesn't work for everyone. Some people get into exercise, some don't. Some are really big into the healthy nutrition. Some, you've just got a few more examples here, and be sure to stick around just a few more minutes to find out how to get in touch with today's guest. And Sam, out of the 30 states you're in, do you have any states that are on your radar that you're actively pursuing to treat, or are we where we are right now?
Oh, no, we'll be in all 50 states pretty soon. We're really excited. That's been our metric. We want to be able to provide access for everybody. We take health insurance. We have low cost self pay. And so our goal is to be there for everybody in all states, territories. Really, the mantra is mental health care anytime, anywhere. We want people to have that access.
That's pretty admirable because I know for myself as a self-employed individual, insurance and getting mental health treatment. And then especially when COVID was here, when I was finally found a therapist, it wasn't working. I found a guy, then COVID comes, he goes up to $700 a session privately because insurance is gone with COVID. So from there, I launched this podcast, The Mental Health Break, because getting help was out the window and I get to declutter my mind, as you said, have honest and open conversations about mental health. And it has always healed me. Now we're on, 2020. We just passed 6 years of this show. So now we're finally being brought to continuing great guests like today's guest of honor. But before I let you go, Sam, what's one piece of advice you can offer to our audience who may be struggling today?
Yeah, I think we're all going through a loneliness epidemic. Whether we feel like we are lonely, we don't have a friend or partner in our life, or we have tons of friends and people in our life, but we still feel lonely. And I think what's happening is we're having a chasm in our relationships and our connectivity with each other. And it starts with a disconnect with self and sometimes a disconnect with, and I want to be cautious because this can be triggering for some, but with spirituality. And I think it's such an important part of our self care. Whether you have a religious upbringing or a spiritual practice, or it's new to you to think about mortality, death, why we're here, what's our purpose. These are thoughts that don't need to be in the realm of, complete metaphysical qualities. Just the question of connecting with ourselves. What makes you love yourself? What makes you uniquely you? What is your life experience, the skill sets you've cultivated, and your passions and interests that overlap? This is a spiritual connection, in my opinion, because you start to see what makes me uniquely beautiful. What has life shown me that sometimes brought me down? Maybe I thought it was traumatic or difficult, but in the end, I learned from it and it uniquely fortified and strengthened me. I think we often look at weaknesses and how can I get better and what are some of the things that I did wrong, but we don't focus as much as on what did I do right? What's going on well? When you go see a doctor, you're asked all the things that are going wrong. But in our care, we're asking you what's going right? What makes you special? Because we all have something unique to contribute to the world. And I think to overcome a feeling of loneliness or disconnect, we first have to love ourselves. We have to connect with ourselves and understand our place in this world. And so I just challenge everybody to, if we're having isolative habits to connect with somebody. Call a friend, call a loved one, find a therapist, someone that'll be there for you. Our job is to be compassionate and give you space to find your best self. And so I think we all deserve that.
Well, I certainly don't think we can end on a higher note than that. So, Sam, thank you for a lights out closing, opening, and show throughout. Everyone, please remember to subscribe to stay current so you don't miss empowering testimonials like this. Please share this episode with a friend who may find value in it. Sam, where can we find you online and, of course, your company website?
Absolutely. If you're out there and you're thinking you or someone else in your life could really use a little bit of support, check out anywhereclinic.com. We accept insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, and our visits are as low as $150 a session to be connected with a psychiatric provider who's trained to be there for you, to help you go through whether it's a tough time or to help you optimize through a good time. To learn more about me, my socials are at Dr. Sam Zand. You can find me on any channel. I'm very friendly. Please reach out. I can't give medical advice online, but I'll always give a response.
Hey, everyone. He brought his A game today. He really spoke from the heart and with passion. So be sure to connect and check out all he has to offer online. My name is Vincent A. Lancey, and you can check out this show or myself on all social media platforms. And remember to please subscribe to stay current with our mental health champions. And with that, we're signing off today. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for advocating, sharing your story, and having me on. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I would love to hear your feedback. What did you love? What do you want to see more of? Are there any questions you would like me to ask the guests who come on the show? This show is not possible without you, the amazing listeners, so please email us at podcastsbylancey@gmail.com and let us know what you think. We'll also feature you on a later show. Please remember to subscribe to stay current with our amazing community of guests who will continue to come on the show, sprinkled in with solo episodes from me, Vincent A. Lancey. With that, I look forward to introducing more shows to you each and every week. And with that, we're signing off today. Enjoy the episodes and make it a great day ahead.